Your mother took money that she had been saving for you from your paycheck.
So that I could get out on my own again and get an apartment. We ended up yelling at each other.
I asked her at least 5 or 6 times to just please be quiet.
She kicked me out at that point then too, so.
Well, that's nasty. It seems to me that rather than picking a fight with her, you should be proud of her.
This is Judy Justice. Shanice Eckstein is suing her mother, Jessica Lawrenson, for stolen money and assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3112, Eckstein versus Lawrenson.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Miss Eckstein, the defendant is your mom,
Yes.
and there are several parts of your complaint, but the primary part of your complaint is that your mother took money that she had been saving for you.
Yes, ma'am.
And refused to give it to you when you left her home.
Yes.
And mother says that you owed her that money she doesn't deny that she saved money for you, it was your money, but that she says that you didn't contribute as you should have to the household when you were living there, and she has a counterclaim, and that counterclaim is that while you were living there, your cats caused some damage to her sofa.
Yes, correct.
By the way, if you take a look at each other, it's so funny for a stranger to you, look at you, and you can look at your mom and see what you're going to look like in a while. I'm looking at your face. You don't see it.
No, ma'am, and I don't want to.
Well, I'm just telling you from a stranger's perspective, sometimes my children don't see the same thing that I do, and I don't see it all the time. But I looked at the two of you, and it's...
We've gotten it a lot. It happens. It sure does.
It does it?
It does. It has.
It does? And your mom probably likes it when somebody says, oh, is that your sister?
She probably does.
She probably does. Okay, so right now, you and your mom are on the outs. That may be forever. It may not be forever. Certainly, from what I read of your complaint, when you hit a bad spot in your life, you went back to your mom.
That's false. This was the only time that I'd actually done that.
When you hit a bad spot, I just said one spot.
Yes, ma'am.
When you hit a bad spot in your life, you went home to your mom.
Yes.
And she let you come home.
Yes.
First, tell me a little about yourself, Miss Eckstein. How old are you?
I'm 26. I am a branch manager at a financial place. I do taxes and loans, so pretty standard.
Did you graduate high school?
I did. I graduated high school. I did 2 years at the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. Didn't finish there, but still love art, you know.
And how old were you when you left home?
I was 18.
And where did you go?
I went to the dorms where I was living there for school for a bit.
Okay. Your mom, I assume, since she has younger kids, that they're your half-siblings.
Yes.
Okay. How old are your other children?
They are 4, 5, and then I have a 17, an 18, and then 26.
Okay. When you went off to college, you got student loans to do that?
Yes.
And you were there for a couple of years and left. Tell me why you left school.
I was not doing well mentally. I actually started there living in the dorms and then coming back home. At the time, it was about a half-an-hour drive. I worked in my hometown, and then I went to school in Milwaukee. So it was about a half-hour drive. I'd come back on the weekends and work. In that process, I would stay at her house on the weekends, but I wasn't able to continue to do that, actually, because she kicked me out at that point then, too. So this is reoccurring.
So that would make you about 20.
At that time, I think I was 19 and a half-ish going on, around, close.
Close to 20. And you had a falling out with your mom then?
Yes.
Okay, not important as to why. And then you were on your own. Tell me when you went back to your mom's house and under what circumstances?
So in April of 2023, I lost my job due to them closing offices. So I just wasn't able to.
Were you continuously working from the time you were 20?
Yes.
And you left school?
Yes, not the same job, but yes.
But yes, and you were living by yourself?
Yes.
And paying your own rent?
Yes.
You have a car?
Yes.
Buy it yourself?
No, but I guess technically it wasn't a loan, but it was from like a family that I was paying them. So yes.
Okay.
Title's in my name, yes.
Yeah, so you bought it. So when you were 20, you were on your own, self-supporting.
Yes.
But not bad. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Not bad. Today's day and age, that is a big, not bad to be 20 and on your own.
Yeah.
So you lost your job.
Yes. So essentially I was working at this job since 2020, I believe it was, so about 3 years at this point, and they decided they were going to close all of the surrounding offices where I was and then the ones around it. So I didn't really have many options. So they gave me severance. I left. I was working on severance, or, I was waitressing on the side getting severance, and then I also received unemployment during that time as well to just continue with my rent that I had with the lease.
Okay. And then?
So, I'm sorry. And then I went, I was, getting unemployment. It started to short out a little bit around August. It was getting a little bit difficult to pay my rent. So I decided that it would be easiest to not do that anymore. I moved in with my mother, asked if she could help me at that time of need. Yes.
And she said yes.
And she said yes. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So tell me, so you moved back home
So
with your mom, and I assume between 2 and 4 siblings.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was 2 originally. One is in college right now, and then the other one ended up moving back as well.
The 17-year-old.
Yes.
So it was back home
Yes.
with the 4 and 5-year-old.
As far as I know, yes.
Is that right?
Correct.
And you lived there with your husband
Correct.
and 4, 5, and 17-year-old.
Yes.
So you moved back in April?
No, I lost my job in April, moved back around August. So it was, the news happened in August that it was going to be an eviction otherwise. So I realized that I wanted to avoid that, obviously, on my record. So I reached out to her in a moment of panic. She helped me out. I had my stuff moved in within days.
Great.
Shanice Eckstein claims her mother, Jessica Lornson, assaulted her and stole money she received from Shanice. Jessica is countersuing for the cost of a couch.
Okay. According to you, the deal was that you would work, which you did. I mean,
Yes.
got another job.
Yes.
You moved in August. When did you get another job?
Right away, it was actually, I moved in like halfway through August, somewhere near September. So I got a job immediately on, it was September 19th was my first day.
Are you still there?
Yes.
What kind of work is it?
Taxes and loans.
That's what I thought you said. And you started to give your mom money from your paycheck
Immediately.
for.
To save for me so that I could get out on my own again and get an apartment.
How come you didn't put it in a bank?
I should have, hindsight, but my bank was out in Fond du Lac, so it was just a far drive, and my work issued me a payroll card, so that's what I was using at the time, and she actually insisted that I give her the money rather than, so that I can't have access to it, basically, because she thinks that I wouldn't have the ability to not spend it, basically. So that was the point.
Okay, and you were saving the money for her.
Correct.
How much did you save for her?
We saved, I think there was $1,800 in there. And I did ask her several times to go and open up a bank account.
Okay, but you said you saved $1,800. That was $1,800.
That's
Was it in a
incorrect.
bank account?
No, I had it set aside in an envelope that said Shanice's savings on it.
So it's somewhere between $1,800 and $2,500.
I have it actually in my evidence. I have all my pay stubs, and then I also have all of my bank statements showing when I pulled money out. That all add up to $2,600. And then I also have my, there was also like a note that I kept in my phone to save every time that I pulled out and gave her money so that I could keep track of it. So,
Okay. Do you have any documentation of how much money she gave you?
It was written on an envelope at home. I don't have
But
that.
the answer is no.
No.
Okay. So I'd like to see
yes, ma'am. Give me 1 second.
from your phone. That would be most helpful.
I don't have it on my phone. It's right here. So this is the beginning of it. This is the savings. And then throughout, you'll get the bank statements first. And then right after, immediately, is all of my pay stubs.
Savings at Mom's, I have $2,300.
That's because she also borrowed $200 from me for, I'm assuming, my brother's car payment at the time. I also have that in text messages of her borrowing that.
Well, let me see the text
Yes,
message
ma'am.
of that, please. Yes, you remember borrowing $200 from her?
So I had asked her, yes.
Yes, you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. That's $2,500. Okay. Then there came a time when you had a problem.
Yes.
Tell me when that was.
I left her house on the night of, it was November 24th. I came back on November 25th around 11:30. I went out to see some friends in Fond du Lac. So she actually sent me with some plates for Thanksgiving to give to my friends. So everything was all cordial and fine at the time of me leaving on Friday night. came back on Saturday night, and initially it started with a text message I sent my brother. I asked him if he wanted to split a pizza. I was coming home, just to hang out with him. He told me he wasn't home. So I texted my mother and I asked her where's Joe? And she told me that he was out with friends, whatever, but she was being very short with me. There's just very short responses. I was asking her if she had a problem. She said no. I said, okay. So I got home and she had an attitude with me still. So I addressed it. I said, what's the problem? And it ended up raising voices. We ended up yelling at each other.
Okay.
Yes.
So stop. So tell me what happened. Why were you annoyed with her?
So in the text messages, I had asked her, it was midnight, and I had asked her if she had been at her friend's for a couple of days, why she couldn't have ate before she came home, because we had the little one sleeping, and my significant other sleeps out in the living room because of just sleeping arrangements with the little kids. And I asked her that, and she said, I don't know what your problem is. And then when she got home, it just turned into something more.
I don't understand what you're...
May I say something?
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not following you.
So she texted me and asked where Joe was.
She left on a Friday.
Yep. To go up to Fond du Lac.
And she was coming home on Saturday.
Correct.
What time?
She texted me, it was about 11:30, saying that she was about 15 minutes out.
11:30 in the evening.
Correct.
So she gave you a heads up that she was out. She had her
Yep.
own key, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's fine.
Yes.
And then she said she was hungry. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so she said she was hungry, and your response was, why didn't you eat with your friends? Mm-hmm. Because why you want to eat when you come home?
Yeah, my boyfriend does get up at 4:30 in the morning, and she knows that. So I just thought it was like, why couldn't this be taken care of before you came home instead of at midnight? Because it kind of disrupts the house, I guess.
You must have had a bad day with somebody that day. That's not something that I would actually say to one of my children.
So
I'm just letting you know.
Well, right.
I'm
No,
just letting you know. You might have just had a bad day. Who was this?
This is my mother-in-law, Diane.
I mean, she had somebody who was responsible. She texted you that she was coming home. She clearly knew that you would be up if she texted you, because you probably stay up late.
Right.
And sometimes more than I used to get. I'm on my way home 15 minutes out. What? I would say, what kind of medication are you on? Telling me 26 years old and telling me.
We've just had talks before, about just the times of arriving at home and, with the kids sleeping and Josh in the living room. It was just, I think, more of just a respect thing. That was all.
But not a big deal.
No.
Doesn't sound like a big deal to me. Mm-mm. So then what happened when she got home?
So she came in the house and she said, when she opened up the door.
No, look at me.
When she opened up the door, she said, what's your problem? When she first walked in.
Well, what had you responded to her? Had you said to her, why didn't you eat with your friends? Had you texted that to her?
I texted that to her.
Well, that's nasty. Okay. So she came in and she said, what's your problem? Mm-hmm. And then?
And she kept getting louder, and I asked her at least 5 or 6 times to just please be quiet. The little ones were sleeping.
Is that the way it went? I mean...
That is the way it went.
Shanice Eckstein is accusing her mother, Jessica Lornson, of stealing her money while they lived together. Jessica is countersuing, claiming Shanice's cats ruined her couch.
Okay. She was getting louder because you were saying what?
She just kept saying, what's your problem? What's your problem? Why are you angry? Like, what's your problem? And it kept getting louder, and I asked.
And what did you answer? Just a second. So what did... She asked what your problem was, because it was a curt sort of text. And what did you respond to her?
I just asked her to lower her tone at first, and it just kept escalating and escalating.
No, but did you answer her?
I did not.
Why?
Because I answered her in the text message, that's all.
That's incorrect.
What did you...
I just said, why can't you eat before you come home? I know it's
just a
silly.
second. Well, that I know, but now she's home, and she says to you, what's your problem?
I just think it's just how she approached me, that's all, ma'am. I don't...
Had you had a fight with your boyfriend?
No, we actually get along really well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then it escalated. Is that right?
Yes.
And you left.
Yes. Well, actually, I would like to also mention that they were both awake in the kitchen, in the living room, watching TV when I got home. They were both still awake, actually.
Both your mom and her boyfriend?
Yes. Both my mom and her boyfriend were awake. The kids were sleeping, but they were out in the living room with the dogs and everything. Everyone was hanging out. That's the setting. And I would also like to note that my 17-year-old brother was also out and not even returned home yet, was driving her car at the time. I came back at a reasonable time, let her know with my own car. So that's setting the scene, clearing that up.
Is there anything that your daughter just said that is
Yes, Josh
inaccurate?
was actually sleeping on the couch until she came in the first, when it started getting loud, he woke up.
She said he was out.
No, my son was out. My 17-year-old
Your
was out.
17-year-old
Correct.
was out. Where was he?
At a friend's. He was hanging out
Was he
there.
coming home?
Yes,
So your daughter came home before he did.
correct.
How do you get along with your mother's boyfriend?
He's a really nice guy, actually. I'm very happy that he is around her. I was hoping that it would make her a little bit of a better person, but I do like him. He's a good guy.
Now, going over the numbers, Miss Lawrenson, you saved $2,500 of your daughter's pay, and that was your understanding that you were saving it for her. You indicated it was in an envelope. It was an envelope with her name on it. She left. I don't care what the circumstances were of her leaving. That's her money.
Right. I did ask her, the original agreement when she moved in was to contribute to groceries.
No.
Contribute to groceries to help out with household stuff. Our utility bills did go up, and I had to talk with her out in our garage, asking her if she can contribute a little bit. I literally live week to week, paycheck to paycheck. And I asked her if she'd help me. She said she would.
Okay, but you asked her to help you. She never did. She just gave you money to save for her.
Correct.
Well, then you owe her $2,500. That's her money. That's her money. That's not a contract. Can you help out with the groceries? Can you help out with the utility bills? That's not a contract. I'm going to save your money for you so you can move out and be on your own. That's a contract. So you have to give her back her money. Money owed for damaged property. You've got one couch,
Correct.
and it's a leather couch.
Correct.
Have you had that couch since you had your 4- and 5-year-old?
Yes.
So you have a 4- and 5-year-old that use that couch and sit on that couch and play with that couch. Now I want you to show me a picture of how you say her cat or cats destroyed the couch.
Okay. There is these four here. And it's on the arms, on each of the arms, and then on the bottom footrest.
No, this is a worn couch.
I know the
That's
seats are, yes.
Oh, come on. What, are you kidding me? Miss Lawrenson, all I can do is suggest to you that you keep your fingers crossed that your 17, 18, 4- and 5-year-olds turn out as articulately and independently as your 26-year-old. I wish you good luck with that, but it seems to me that rather than picking a fight with her, you should be proud of her. She's been on her own for a very long time, taking care of herself, seemingly responsibly, and you were short with her. You were short with her that day. It was an unloving, that text to her about why can't you eat with your friends was an unloving, non-maternal response. You understand?
Yes.
Good. So you owe your daughter $2,500. She owes you nothing. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I feel that I didn't get to speak on everything and that I wasn't heard.
Honestly, very grateful.
I was honest in my statement and had all my evidence.
Just very grateful and ready to be done with all of this. Wiping my slate clean, absolutely done.
Just if she would have read all the details that I had with the dates, the times, just things that Shanice and I have been through in the past.
Probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done, but I had to do it. So we did it, and we're here, and I'm done.
She owes me more money, $500 for an electric bill that she never paid me.
She never loaned me any money in the first place, so she's holding on to something that doesn't exist, and that's unfortunate for her.
It hurts. It does.
Because it's been a long time coming. It's been years of her putting me down and just being the thing that stands in my way of my full potential, and I don't know what the reason is.
I don't want nothing to do with her.
Finally, I had to just stop because I have a life to live.
I've given it a lot of thought.
I hope she lives the best life she can.
No, she's burned the bridges.
I hope I never have to cross paths with her again.
I was really impressed by that young woman.
Yeah, seemed like she had it all figured out from a pretty young age, responsible, taking care of herself.
Paid her rent, bought a car,
Yeah.
paid it off, texted her mother, I'm on the road, I'll be home in 15 minutes.
Yeah, overly accommodating and understanding. It's just unfortunate. I know she probably, all she wanted was her mother to acknowledge all of those things as positives, and having a daughter that accomplish that much at such a young age,
Yeah.
I'd want my parents to acknowledge and celebrate that. And I feel like she didn't get that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah. At least she got her money back, though.
You got out of the car and he punched you.
Absolutely. He proceeded to keep pounding on me.
There is no indication here from you to the police that he ever put his hands on you.
He beat me up.
Be careful. I've been doing this for 50 years. Do you understand?
This is Judy Justice. Lucretia Gaines is suing her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, for assault and a false arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3030, Gaines versus Francis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gaines, who is this?
My witness, my twin sister, Lucinda Gaines.
And your sister is married but in the process of divorcing the defendant.
Actually, they're already divorced.
When were you divorced?
August 18th, 2022.
Okay. The events surrounding this case happened in November of 2020.
Yes.
Each one of you claim that they were assaulted by the other. In November of 2020, your sister and the defendant were having trouble in their marriage. That be a fair statement?
Yes.
And your sister had complained previously to you that the defendant was trying to get her in trouble, alleging that she assaulted him.
Absolutely.
So on November the 8th, you receive a call from your sister.
No, we was already on the phone, Your Honor.
So you were on the phone with your sister.
Yes.
And I want you to relay the conversation that you had with your sister on that date.
Well, we were just sitting there chatting like we always do. We were just laughing, talking about her schoolwork. I was talking about my schoolwork. We both had tests coming up, so we were just relating to each other in that manner that we always do every day.
Okay, let's go. Move it along.
Anyway, all of a sudden I heard, after an hour of talking to her on the phone, I overheard him say, "Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops." And I was like,
You heard him say, let's fight.
"Let's do this without the cops. We could fight right now. We could
Just a
fight
second.
right."
I want to be very clear because Whitney is taking, let's do this without
The police.
the police. That you remember.
That I remember.
Don't speak. Let's do this without the police. And what's the next thing you heard him say?
They just started arguing, so.
Just a second. Would you go back, Whitney, please, and tell me what the plaintiff said? She said that he said two things.
Yes, let's fight. Let's do this without the cops.
Let's fight.
Saying that to my sister.
Shh. Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one was it? You said, let's do this without the police. That's one. Or let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one did you
I
hear?
overheard him say both things to my sister, and I just hung up after
What
that.
both things?
He said, I didn't have no idea he was there. I said, "Cinda, who's that?" She said, "Dwight." I said, why, what's going on? And then I just hung, she was
What's
like, "Oh,
going on?"
Yeah, and I just hung up. I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna hang up."
Why?
Because they was husband and wife. Maybe it was just something they was just going through. I didn't know.
Now, just a second. Let me explain something to you. I'm beginning to suspect what you're telling me is a whole lot of who shot John. You're on the phone with your sister. You're talking about tests like you're talking about every day, blah, 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 blah. Then you hear something that would cause me concern. You hear, let's fight. Let's do this
Without the
police. And according to you, what you said to me was, so I just hung up.
I said, "Cinda, I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna call you back." She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna handle this."
Just a second. Don't speak.
Yes.
Let's go through it again because now we're getting a different story. Let's do this. Let's do this without the cops. And then what did you say to her and what did she say to you?
I asked her, "Who was that in the
You
background?"
said, who was that in the background?
And she said, "Dwight." I said,
What?
"Oh, I thought he didn't be there anymore."
Okay.
And so she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna handle it. I'm gonna just call you back." So I said, "Okay."
Okay. She said, oh, I'm going to handle it. I'll call you back. So you didn't just hang up. Just a second. You didn't just hang up.
No, I didn't.
You had a
I
continued
didn't really want to
conversation.
hang up, but I hung up because she
You
told me.
didn't have You didn't just hang up. You had a conversation with your sister, and your sister said, I'm going to handle it. That's what you said she said to you.
Absolutely. After 20 minutes, I called. So I felt like they got into a fight. Why I felt that way, because
I don't care why
he
you
had her
just a
arrested.
second. Just a second. I don't care why you felt that way.
Yeah. I
don't
scared
care
for
what you
her
felt that way.
because he got her arrested on October 27th, 2020 for assault. I had no idea. I was calling her.
So we had her arrested in October for domestic violence.
Yes, 2020.
And then so a month before, he had her arrested for domestic violence. What happened to that case? Do you know, Miss Gaines? Do you know? The answer is yes or no.
No.
But you know he had her arrested. Okay, so now we're in November. Your sister has clearly allowed him back into the house, right? She didn't say, it's Dwight, he doesn't belong here, I'm going to call the police, because according to you, she's having a pleasant conversation with you. And he's talking, who is that Dwight? Oh, he's here. So you went to your sister's house. Mm-hmm. You didn't call the police because you were worried. You went over to your sister's house. Now I want you to tell me exactly what happened. Be careful, because you know, I've been doing this for 50 years. Do you understand?
Yes.
What you're about to tell me, I've heard 100 times, all different kinds of versions, but certain things make sense and certain things don't. Do you understand? So now I'm going to...
I thought the police would be there by the time I got there because my sister told me...
I don't care what you thought. She told you what?
She told me she was going to go to jail and I just...
Oh, just a minute. We're getting a lot more into this conversation now. Hold on. First we started with I hung up. And then you said, my sister says to me, when did
when I called back, she said...
Just a second. So you called back and you got her on the phone.
I said,
okay.
Lucretia Gaines claims her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, assaulted her and lied to the police. Dwight is countersuing, claiming he defended himself from Lucretia's attack.
So you waited 20 minutes and you called her back.
Yes.
And you did, in fact, get her on the phone.
Yes, and that's...
Just a second. Now, I want you to go back to what she told me 4 minutes ago with I called.
I did.
And she didn't answer.
She did not answer.
After 20 minutes, I stay home. After 20 minutes, I called. I felt they got into a fight. Why I felt that way? Because he had her arrested. I was just scared
you
for
called
her.
and called. So now you called.
Halfway there, she answered the phone.
You called and she answered.
Yes.
Now I want you to tell me about that conversation before you went over there. I said to her, and she said to me, I'm
going to jail. She said, well, I'm going to jail now because he called the cops. And then I said, okay, well, because I just felt like she was going to go to jail because she got arrested.
I don't care what you felt.
Anyway, I was only going to get my nephew.
You called her and she said, I'm going to go to jail.
She said he called the cops, so I think
he
I'm going
called
to
the
jail.
cops.
Because
he had a restraining order against her.
Protective order.
Right. And clearly something happened in that 20 minutes between the time you were talking about your tests and the time you got her back on the phone that suggested to you that something had transpired when she said, now I'm going to go to jail. So you went over there because you knew about the protective order because you knew she had gotten arrested in October. So now you go over there to do what?
To grab my nephew, because last time I went when she couldn't go back to her home that he moved in with her, he didn't even feed my nephew. And that's what I was afraid of.
Just a second. Is that their child?
No.
You went over there to get your nephew.
Yeah.
Now, what happened when you got there?
When I got
slowly, because right now you see, it doesn't go well.
I know.
You understand?
Understood.
Okay. So now you go over there.
When I got to their home, the defendant was standing outside. I finally pulled up. I saw no cops. So I asked him, why you keep calling the cops on my sister? That's when he took it upon himself to hit me in my face, knock me off the curb, because I guess it needed to fit his narrative. Come to find out, he called the cops and told the cops that my sister called me over there to fight him. Why would I fight for my sister? I shouldn't have went over there, but I did because I was worried about my nephew. She told me to. She She asked me to get him the last time. She was like, can you go to the house and grab my nephew?
You left that out 5 minutes ago.
Sorry, because it was so much. And it had been so long ago.
Well, that's why you're supposed to bring a case as soon as you can after the event. The reason I assume you didn't is because COVID struck and they didn't dismiss both of your cases until recently.
Yeah.
So neither one of you could have come to civil court. I assume that that's why you waited 2 years. I really don't care. Now, that's what you say happened, that you came over there and got out of the car and calmly said to him, why do you keep calling the cops on my sister?
Yes.
That's what you remember you said to him.
Yes.
Calmly. Why do
really
you...
calmly, really agitated, because I was home doing my own thing, you know, and it was
Well,
just...
I want you to tell me what happened. You got out of the car. Clearly, you're bigger than he is.
Exactly.
Clearly, you're bigger than he is. So is your sister. You got out of the car, and now you're agitated. So you didn't just ask him. You said, why do you keep calling the cops on my sister? And he punched you.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're...
And knocked me off the curb. I was stuck under the car where he proceeded to keep pounding on me in my head. And I almost lost consciousness, which I did lose consciousness. My hands was all cut up. I have proof from trying to cover the blows, but I had nowhere to move because of...
Just a second. What part of your hand was all cut up?
Both of my hands, because I was trying to hold it, because I was on the concrete.
Just a second. Your knuckles on both hands were cut up. Mm-hmm. That's not a defensive wound.
Those are?
No. That's not. No, dear. That's not a defensive wound. This is a defensive wound. This is from hitting somebody.
But I'm trying to grab my hoodie down so he could stop punching me in my face. So that's what was happening, because I was trying to
I still don't understand why you got...
I don't know how I got...
I don't know. I don't know either.
I don't know
whether you're going to show me.
Proof.
I'm going to look at all your proof. I'm just examining you first, since there are cross complaints here. You're trying to speak over me.
Sorry.
Yeah, clearly you're not intimidated by your surroundings. That's her version of the events. She came over to the house and she asked you why you keep calling the cops on my sister. And you punched her and kept punching her until she almost lost consciousness. Now, you want to tell me your version of these events?
Okay.
How long, by the way, had you been in the apartment with her sister?
6 or 7 years.
No. You had her arrested in October. So clearly she was arrested and she was out of the house. Is it your house or her house?
Her house. She wasn't out the house.
So she was arrested and you were both still living in the house together?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Since October?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were there and she was there?
Same way, Your Honor.
Same way?
Yes.
She was released by the police and you were there, she was there, and her son?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes, it's a partial.
Don't speak.
Okay.
So when you said, what's Dwight doing there, you clearly didn't know that they were still living together.
No.
Good. So now you tell me your version of the events of November 8th, 2020. Tell me what happened with...
Lucinda was keep coming at me.
How did she keep coming at you?
Like coming up in my face, like she want to fight with me. And I never want to fight at all.
That is not true.
If you say one more word, I'm going to throw you out. Do you understand?
That wasn't me, that was her.
Oh, you're easy. You're going to be gone. Did you call the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, did you call the police before Miss Gaines got there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so now you called the police, and clearly she heard it.
Yes, Your Honor.
And she said to you, I'm going to get arrested. That's what you said.
Because it was a...
Did you say something?
Lucretia Gaines has accused her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, of assaulting her and lying to the police. Dwight is countersuing Lucretia, claiming she assaulted him.
So you called the police and you went outside.
I went outside first before I called the police.
You went outside and called the police from outside?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
When I called the police, I stepped down to the sidewalk and I was there waiting for the police to come. I heard a car speed come around, hear her yelling, I hope you're not calling the cops. I say, of course I'm calling the cops. She pulled over to the side and come up towards me, ready to fight with me. I never want to fight. I turned my head around. She was already there in front of me, sizing me up, and I just make a mistake and look around. And by the time I made that mistake and look around, she knocked me over.
And?
I saw her about to hit me again. When I hit her, she fall, and I ran off, try to escape. She get back up and running me down. I couldn't run no more because I was going towards the hospital direction where I was going. When she caught up with me, the cops turned up.
Okay. May I see the police report, please?
I have one.
Well, it's practically impossible to determine which one of you instigated the physical part of this altercation. Each of you claimed that the other threw the first blow. Listen carefully to what I'm saying. That's what she says, and you said that she hit you first. So it's impossible to determine who hit who first. However, the police report is very telling. It says that when the police arrived, they found you on Kensington Street. And you told the police, you're Lucretia,
Yes.
said Francis, that would be him, began to walk down Kensington Street. So the fight had begun, and he got up and started to walk away towards Chapel Street, which is consistent with what he said. And Lucretia said she ran after Francis and began fighting with him until the police arrived. That's what the police report says.
I can show you. I couldn't even run. I had torn meniscus.
Just a second.
There's no way.
I'm telling you what the police wrote in their report that you told them. And it's totally consistent with what he said, that he was trying to walk away.
I was running.
After he beat me up.
Listen to me. You went over there furious.
I wasn't furious.
Oh, yeah.
Just
a second. You went over there furious.
Absolutely not.
Your Honor,
Absolutely not.
Can I tell my story, please?
Can you tell your story?
Yes, please.
Oh, be my pleasure. I got a couple of questions to ask you as long as you want to testify. Okay. There is no indication here from you to the police or any other authority that he ever put his hands on you. What you complain about him is that he's disrespectful, he taunts you, he says nasty things to you,
Yes.
he calls you names.
Yes.
In response to that, you assault him.
No, I don't, ma'am.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
He had me falsely arrested. Yes, he's small in stature, but I don't know how he keep manipulating the system. This man is dangerous.
You have to understand something. You told the police that he doesn't...
We never had a physical altercation. That's why I don't know where he's getting these things from. It's like once he found out we were going to divorce, he didn't want to leave the house. So that's why he kept having to try to put a case on me.
All may be true.
Yes.
There is no indication here, as a matter of fact, quite the contrary, that he ever put his hands on you.
He never put his hands on me, and I never placed a hand on him.
Your sister did. Now you can sit down.
Go.
Can I just tell you how we even got here?
No.
All I want to say.
No, I'm just telling you. I don't care how you got here. This happened 2.5, 3 years ago. And the reason that you're here is because of an incident that had in its beginnings you going to a place where you had no right to be.
Can I please show you the medical reports? Because there's no way I ran down the street.
Just a second. I'm going to read what you told the police.
That was...
After a brief verbal altercation, Francis punched her in the face. They both began fighting in the middle of the street. Francis then began to walk down Kensington Street towards Chapel Street. Lucretia said she ran after Francis and began fighting with him until the police arrived. Okay, your case is dismissed.
All right.
Now, you have any medical records of your injuries?
Yes,
I'd
Your
like
Honor.
to see them.
I have scar to it.
Just a second, I'd like to see them.
I'm telling you, I did not run after him. How can I run? How can I run after him if my knee, I tore meniscus?
Do you want me to play the tape of you walking through the door into the courtroom? Yes, you did.
I could walk, yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
still
right,
in
you
pain
did.
for the rest of
I
my
can
life.
play the tape back
I have
for you
to
if
get
you like.
surgery, Your Honor.
Not only is the case going to be dismissed, but because I see you can't control yourself. Even in a courtroom, you can't control yourself. I'm hearing his case now. He's got a cross complaint. And as far as I'm concerned, you were the aggressor. You went there
I did.
to a potentially aggressive situation by yourself.
Yeah,
by yourself.
She have something in her hand too. I never see what it was, but I know she threw it away.
Do you think I need your help?
Okay.
Forget it. Telling you, this man is dangerous. You'll see he'll be arrested again.
See what I mean? You can't control yourself. You want me to believe that you got out of the car and calmly said, why are you calling the police on my sister? Somebody who can't control themselves in a courtroom. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $5,000. Your claim is dismissed.
All right, thanks.
Court is adjourned.
I'm just sad about the whole situation because I feel like I should have won this case.
Everything is in facts, and that's how it happened. It was the truth.
I just figured she was going to jail, so I just wanted to get my nephew and leave.
I want to be a good parent.
It goes on. He's manipulating the system, and it shows.
That whole case just seemed like a mess all the way around. I think the plaintiff went there maybe a little hotter than she was ready to admit. I think the police report seemed enlightening after you took a look at that and read her own account of what she told the officer. And, you know, he didn't seem like Prince Charming either, though. So I'm annoyed that you gave him the judgment. I agree with it because it was so unclear.
I gave him the judgment, actually.
Because she couldn't control herself. I knew.
Because you're in a courtroom setting and you try to take somebody's demeanor in a courtroom setting, which is intimidating. I mean, I'm intimidating. I know that I'm intimidating. Couldn't control herself.
Yeah.
You know, you have to couple the law with common sense. He's no doll, for sure. But he extricated himself from the house because according to her,
and down the street.
he was outside when she got there. The police report was clear. He again tried to extricate himself by walking away. And when the police arrived, they were fighting on the street. Again, because she had caught up with him. She said she went there to get her nephew. You can call the police and say, I think there's going to be a problem. Would you take me over there? There's a domestic case. But she went over there hot. And the reason he was awarded money is because she couldn't control herself, even here. There was no question in my mind that she was the aggressor.
No, I agree.
You asked to put the van in her name because you have unpaid fines.
Okay.
That's against the law. You knew that he couldn't have a car in his name.
I knew that he had a lot of tickets.
So you were an accomplice. That's not a question. That's a statement.
This is Judy Justice. Edward Taylor is suing his former friend, Sabra Crockett, for the cost of a van.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3065, Taylor versus Crockett.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Taylor,
Yeah.
I read your complaint. I have several questions. for you.
Okay.
When was the last time you owned a car in your name?
October of last year.
What kind of car did you own?
2010 Lexus.
What happened to that car?
The upper and lower control arms were broke, and I couldn't drive it because I felt that it was too unsafe.
How long did you have that car?
About 4 months.
Was it insured?
Yes.
By whom?
I don't have the name of the insurance company with me, but it was insured.
Prior to that, you had that car for 4 months. What was the car you had previous to that?
Previous to that, 2000 Cadillac SDS.
On either of these cars that you had, either the Cadillac or the Lexus, had you accrued tickets and fines?
Yes.
How much?
I believe my tickets are around a couple thousand.
On both of those cars?
No, not on those cars, from cars prior.
I'm talking, well, you couldn't have registered either one of those cars, sir, if you had $2,000 in fines on other cars.
I have a photograph of the picture of the registration.
Of what?
To the Lexus on my phone.
Did you pay the $2,000 in fines on previous cars?
No.
No. Now we can get started with this case.
Okay.
This case says that you purchased a van. For whatever reason you purchased the van. The defendant was a friend of yours. You asked to put the van in her name.
She asked.
No, that's not right.
Okay. Go ahead.
Get it together, sir.
All
Would
right.
you please? I'm going to be respectful to you. You be respectful to me.
Amen.
Good. You asked to put the car in her name because you had unpaid fines and tickets and couldn't have it in your own.
Okay.
That's not an okay. That is a yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, just as long as we're getting it together.
Okay.
And she did. You bought the van. You paid $2,400 for it.
No, ma'am.
How much did you
The
pay
total
for it?
price, I have the bill of sale here, evidence.
It says here in your complaint, sir, I paid $2,500 for the van.
Yes, I made a payment on the van since then of
May I see,
$200.
may I
Yes.
see the papers that he's showing me? I went to visit my friend in April 2022, who was a bishop, parked next to an old van that the church owned and asked if they would be willing to sell it. He said the church would sell me the van. I paid $2,500 for the van. That's your sworn complaint.
Okay.
Okay is not,
Yes.
okay is great.
Right, but they decided that they wanted $2,900. I do have, Your Honor, I do have the receipt.
I don't, listen to me, sir.
Okay,
I don't care.
all right.
The reason you put the van in the defendant's name was because legally you were not allowed to put it in yours because you had unpaid fines. What happened, according to the defendant, is that in the time that you had the van, which was from what month and year to what month and year?
May the 1st of 2022, and she brought the police.
When did she take the van back?
May the 7th.
May-
May the 7th of this year.
And in that year, according to the defendant, she took the van back because you had, again, acquired a lot of tickets on it.
2 tickets, which I paid.
Really?
Yes, I have the receipt.
Well, and she's going to have to show me. She said you acquired $1,600 worth of tickets. Is that what you wrote?
Yes, I did write that, Your Honor.
Do you have proof of that?
I have proof as what the tickets are and what it would cost to get this van in shape.
No, that's not what I asked you. I said,
I have some here, yes,
just
I
a
do.
second.
Okay.
Answer. At this point, he owed me $1,600 in toll fees.
Please?
Do you have proof that he, in that year, he accrued while driving the van
No, Your Honor,
Why not?
because the $1,600 was including everything that needed to be added to this van.
No, Miss Crockett.
Yes.
No, Miss Crockett. That's not what you said here. You said you took it. I'm going to read
Yes,
you
I
what
know.
you wrote.
Yes, dear.
At that point, he owed me $1,600 in toll fees, and I didn't trust him to do the right thing. Before the van was completely worthless, I decided to have the police come and get it.
Yes.
So how much were the fees? You said toll fees. How much could you prove that he had accrued in toll fees? You didn't spend any money for this van. And I absolutely believe that you should have taken it back. Under normal circumstances, you should have taken it back if he accrued any tickets on the van because you're liable for that.
Yes.
And he's got a miserable history with paying his fines.
Yes. Yes,
Do you
Your
understand?
Honor. Yes,
Yes,
I
Your
do
Honor. Yes,
now.
Your Honor. How much
Yes.
can you prove he had in toll fees?
The tickets that I have here, pictures of.
Well, show me.
Okay.
Show me. I didn't ask you for anything. Are you showing me text messages? I want to see toll fees.
That's all I have, dear, is the text messages.
From whom?
Between Edward and myself, and some pictures of the tolls, the tickets that I sent to him through the
I would like
phone.
to see the
Okay.
tickets that you sent him. I don't want to see text messages.
Edward Taylor claims his former friend, Sabra Crockett, owes for the cost of a van. Sabra says the van was stolen and she owes him nothing.
You're the owner of the car. You would have gotten notification of toll fees.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Well, then I want to see them. Look that up. Give me the low range.
1,600 to 4,000.
Miss Crockett, it's taken you too much time to find what was clear.
All right, here's two, my dear.
There's
I have
two what?
more. Here you go, young man.
Yeah. Well, I have one, and she says to you that she got a collections notice on a ticket from September 13th in the amount of $110.17. So you need to call this lady. And then on May 5th, she says to you, your balance from other tickets would be $601.17.
No, ma'am. I have 2 tickets here. One that's $33 from Trenton. I was in Trenton. I have one that says $110
And $10.
$10.17.
Right.
I have letters here that state that she received the money.
Just a second. When did you get the fines?
I didn't get pulled over. This was like from a camera shot. And there was no toll booth in Trenton. This
How
was
come
an
it went?
overhead
Just
camera.
a second. It went to collections, sir. So if she was notified of a ticket, listen to me.
Okay.
If she was notified of a ticket, believe me, this lady notified you right away.
No, she didn't. I can prove it.
Go ahead.
The letter that she sent me said that the ticket was September the 13th, 2022. 7 months later, I have here from her one ticket that says $110.17 and another ticket that says $33. That's $143.17.
I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about why did it go to collections?
Because she didn't turn the money in that I stuck in her mailbox. And I have proof here that I stuck the money in her mailbox.
Just a second. On what date did you put money in her mailbox?
I have it here on March the 15th. It says...
Just a second. March?
Yes.
Just a second. March
the 26th at 5:15, I got a text message from Miss Moore. I just got it this morning, the money you put in my mailbox. I got it, but you are still late. I will send you the picture of the ticket. Now, this is the first time I gotten a ticket from her, period. The one for $33 and the one for $110. This other thing about $116, she can't show you that she sent it to me. She cannot. For her life, she can't show you that. Here are the two tickets that she sent, and on my phone, I have a balance of $60.17.
Oh, well, maybe this says 60, although it looked like 601.17.
Oh, no, $60.17.
60?
It's $60, Your Honor.
$60.17?
Yes, dear.
Yes, not
Okay.
600.
That was on Friday, May 5th.
Yes. On Monday, May the 1st, I paid her $182 for insurance. Here's the letter that she sent me about the insurance
May I?
due.
This is in...
Here's another one.
Just a second.
Okay.
Let's start with this, Mr. Taylor. The fact that you tried to scam the Department of Motor Vehicles starts you off with a problem. Do you understand?
Yes.
With me. Starts you off with a problem. Because if you know that you're not allowed by law to register a car in your name because you have unpaid fines from whatever state you're from. What state are you from?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
From Pennsylvania. You have unpaid fines. And you try to circumvent the law by physically owning a car, having it in your possession, and being the sole driver of the car, and putting it in someone else's name to circumvent the fact that you haven't paid tickets, doesn't put you in a good place here.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
We understand that. It's like buying a car without a driver's license and saying, you know what? This is the car I want. I have no driver's license because they took my license away for drunk driving, but I need a car to get around. So I'll give you the money, you buy the car, and I'll drive it. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's against the law. So when people come into court who have already broken the law, and you ask me to find in your favor and return a car to you that you can't own, you understand? We have a problem. That's where we're starting from. Now, similarly, you were an accomplice because you knew that he couldn't have a car in his name. Are you denying that you knew he couldn't have a car in his name?
Yes, I am denying that, Your Honor.
Now you tell me why you thought uncross your arms, why you thought he needed the car put in your name rather than him owning the car himself.
Okay, this is how it went, Your Honor.
No, I asked you a question.
Yes.
I mean, do you own a car?
Yes, I do.
Did you pay for it?
Yes, I did.
Is it in your name?
Yes, it surely is.
It surely is. Who is this person?
This is my girlfriend, my neighbor, and my friend.
Does she own a car?
Yes, she does.
Is it in her name?
Directly, yes, it is.
Okay, so you know that if he bought a car with money
Yes.
and said to you, put it in your name, there had to be a reason.
Definitely.
What did you think the reason was?
When I got to the Allstate office to get the title change, he approached me and said, could you put it in my name because I have a lot of tickets?
That's what I just said.
Yes, but I didn't know that. I knew that he had a lot of tickets. I said, I'm going to give you 3 months.
It doesn't make any difference. What you did was you knew he couldn't put it on cross. You knew he couldn't put it in his name because, for the same reason the drunk driver couldn't put a car in their name, they had no license. He wasn't allowed to own a car unless he paid off his fines on his old cars.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were an accomplice in that by putting it in your name. That's what I'm telling you. That's not a question. That's a statement. There's a difference between a question and a statement. I'm making a statement to you.
Yes, you are.
You knew?
No,
he
I
was
did not know, dear.
Oh, yes, you did.
No, I did not, because when I met Mr. Taylor, he was driving a Chrysler 3000.
Who cares? He told you he couldn't put it in his name because
Yes,
of
he
the
did.
tickets.
For the tickets.
That's what.
Yes, dear.
That's exactly what I said to you. He
Yes,
told
he
you he
did.
couldn't put it in his name because of the tickets.
Edward Taylor is accusing his former friend, Sabra Crockett, of refusing to pay for his van after it was stolen. Sabra says she did Edward a favor, and he still owes her for parking tickets.
So, Mr. Taylor, I am disinclined to help you, but I want to know what happened to this van, just out of curiosity. Now, I know the van was stolen once and recovered. It was stolen a couple of months after you were driving it.
6 weeks after I brought it.
6 weeks. It was sad. And then you got it back, got it out of impound, a couple of parts or whatever. But you were still driving it because you drove it for a year after it was stolen the first time. You took it back more recently because you say you got these tickets. Whatever, you took it back.
Yes.
It wasn't smart of you to do it in the first place if you knew that he was breaking the law by having this car.
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened to the van?
I retrieved the van.
Yes, I know you did.
And with the police.
On what date did you go and get the van?
I got the van on May 3rd, 2023.
No.
Where is it now?
Somebody stole it, Your Honor.
From where?
In front of my house.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do, dear.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Here you go, Your Honor.
Thank you.
This young man here.
Okay. And Allstate is the insurer.
Yes, dear.
Did you advise Allstate that it was stolen?
Yes, I did.
And what happened?
They gave me a claim number and said they'll call me in a couple days.
And did they call you? Or are you waiting for the call?
I was waiting for the call, yes. Dear.
Oh, well, then you have to wait, sir. If you get any money, you have to give it to him. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I have talked to Allstate, but it was only, liability on it? No other?
Well, that would not be my problem. That would be his problem. You put insurance on this.
Yes, I paid
Well,
every month.
it depends upon what kind of insurance you have.
$80
If you get any money back from Allstate for the van, listen, this just happened. We're talking about something that happened 23 days ago. You're not a priority for Allstate. So I don't know whether they're going to give you any money or not. It depends upon his insurance. All I'm telling you is if you get any money for this stolen van, it belongs to him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. Has he cleared up all the tickets that are in your name?
No, dear.
How much is outstanding in tickets
Probably-
that you can prove?
Probably $50.
I don't care about $50. I mean, I care about $50.
Okay.
I care about $50, but not as much as this tape is costing to tape this case. So you understand that if you get the check and if you had insurance to cover your van, sir, pay attention. If you had insurance to cover your van, I'm directing her to turn that money over to you if she gets it.
Yes.
If she doesn't get it, you get nothing.
Okay. But how would I know if she got it?
Well, you trusted her to put the car in her name, didn't you?
But I can't, Your Honor, can I show you this here where I don't owe anything for tickets?
I don't care.
No,
Do you
I'm just
understand?
saying.
I don't care. You do owe for your old car's tickets.
Okay, yes.
You
but I'm
do
saying
owe
concerning-
thousands of dollars for your old car's
Yes,
tickets.
I agree.
All I'm saying to you is that if you had full coverage on this van instead of just liability, if you hit somebody, she should get a check for a stolen car. If you do not have that on van, she will not. So I would suggest that we will prepare an order for this car that you can send to Allstate, which is your insurer, that if there is a check, her insurer, which if there is a check, that check should be forwarded to you. Whether they will do that or not, I don't know. But I doubt very much whether you were paying for anything other than the minimum liability on this van. Would that be right?
Yeah, that's right. But
then you would get nothing. Then you would get nothing. She doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Got stolen.
I knew nothing about it being stolen.
Well, just so that you
Until
know,
now.
this is the police report. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll take it back now. Got it?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much. Your case is dismissed.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Well, the judge made a good decision.
I think the judge did a marvelous job.
Well, I just didn't pay it. That's just telling the truth.
Because he knew I had a valid driver's license and I could drive and he couldn't.
She never intended on giving me the title.
I went to his church and I had the police to meet me there and I had the title, registration, and the insurance card.
I learned that you can't trust everybody.
This is a lesson learned. Do not sign for anything unless you check out all the facts.
Okay, I just have a little bone to pick with your analogy of, I understand the analogy that you made between driving drunk and covering for someone who's unable to drive under the law for having a DUI or, something of that nature. But when you liken it to parking tickets, I understand under the law equally that person would be unable to register a car for those two reasons. But I feel like with a DWI, you're making an active choice to get behind the wheel when you know that you're drunk and you're endangering the lives of others. With parking tickets, there's a lot of factors, socioeconomic factors, that play into why someone might not be able to afford their parking tickets. Now, before you get to the counterpoint of he bought 2 more cars after that, I'm not saying that this situation warrants my counterpoint, but I do think that it's something to consider, is that a DWI is something very serious, that you're taking an active role in your own criminal behavior.
You're
endangering others.
You're endangering others. I would agree with you. When you come into a court of law and equity, equity means you want a fair result to happen. So you're sort of throwing yourself on the court and saying, I want you to do justice. And before you do that, you're supposed to come in with
clean hands.
Right. And he clearly couldn't do that because the whole scheme with the car is to avoid personal responsibility, paying your tickets so that you can have a car, so that you don't park next to a fire hydrant in a handicap spot, in a fire zone. You're not supposed to do that. That also places people at risk, but not in the same way as drunk driving. But I
understood the analogy.
You're not supposed to, not here anyway, break the law and then come into court and ask for my help in equity when you've broken the rules.
The same court you're defrauding.
Yep. And she was really a co-conspirator.
I don't even think she realized until you said it 3 times.
No, I don't think she realized. She realized it either. I'm not sure. She was supposed to be a church member or whatever, a friend. I'm not so sure that there wasn't a little bit more there. I don't know. I don't know. But I certainly wouldn't, for anyone, put a car in my name and be responsible for it and let you drive if you have a history of being irresponsible.
You wouldn't even do that for me, I don't think.
No, you don't have to think about that. I would not do that for you.
Thing.
I wouldn't put a car in my name for you.
Jessica Schleicher is suing her ex-boyfriend, Sam Branch, for unpaid rent and the costs of an eviction.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Hello, Kevin.
Case 3106, Shackler versus Branch.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Schleicher.
Schleicher.
Okay. You and the defendant lived together for 25 years. Reason that you never married?
No.
Any reason?
Waiting for financial things to come together. And
that was quite a wait.
Yeah.
In any event, this 25-year relationship ended badly, and it is your claim that the defendant stayed in an apartment that you had lived in together. I believe your name was the only name on the lease, but you lived there as a couple together. For how many years?
I lived there since I was 6 years old. My parents were actually the ones on the lease, and when my father passed away in 2007, we moved back in. We were out in our own apartment, moved in, took over the rent.
Because the rent was more reasonable and the apartment probably
Definitely.
better.
Yeah.
Okay. And the breakup was an acrimonious one. And it is your claim that the defendant stayed in the apartment with one of your children,
Yes, my son.
and that he didn't pay rent in the apartment for several months. And because your name is on the lease, the landlord brought a case against you for the unpaid rent.
Correct.
That's primarily what you're suing for.
Primarily.
Because the other part, he's not responsible for. The part where you had to go find, and you went and found the more expensive apartment, well, one of you was going to find the more expensive apartment. Is this a rent-controlled or stabilized?
Yeah, the place that I was in, I was still grandfathered in at 2000.
Yeah, so it was a rent-stabilized, grandfathered in. You were there together, not you.
No.
The two of you for 25 years.
No, I was there with my family. He moved in with his son in 2007, but I was there with my brother and my parents since I was
just
little.
a second. I thought you were together for 25 years.
We were, but I was in that condo for 39 years, since I was 6.
How long did the two of you live together?
Since 2007, for 16 years.
But you were in a relationship before that, so you lived together in that apartment for 16 years.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me the day that you moved out of the apartment when you had this argument.
May 30th was the first day that I left, and I stayed at my mom's house and in my car, and then went ahead and moved out and got my own place July 1st. So July 1st is when I removed all my belongings.
Had you stayed there at all in the month of June?
No.
Is that correct?
I think there might have been a week in June.
Well, if you think that she says no, she says no, and what you may be, she wasn't there. Your son was there?
Yes, he was.
All of June, you were there?
Yes, I was.
So you were there June. What about July? Were you there in July?
Yes, I was.
What about August?
Yes, I was.
What about September?
Yes, I was.
October?
Yes, I was.
When did you move out?
I moved out in December.
December what?
I believe it was around the 15th.
So you were there the month of December, because you don't do half months. You were there the month of December. When was the last month that you paid rent?
I was paid up until September 1st, so it was August.
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 months rent that you didn't pay.
Right.
Why?
Well, when Jessica moved out, the property management came to me with 3 weeks to go in the month, saying that they were going to raise the rent $750.
Because you're no longer grandfathered in under her parents or grandparents or whoever lived there. So they were going to raise your rent $750.
Yes.
And they were going to raise it starting what date?
September 1st.
So you said, I'm not paying the increase.
No, that's not correct.
So you just didn't pay anything?
No.
Well, that's what I said. When was the last time you paid rent? You said September 1st. So I'm just curious. If he was going to raise your rent by $750, was going to make it $2,750, and you said, I'm not going to pay the increase.
No, I agreed to pay the increase. We filled out a new application.
Okay, great. So when did you start paying the increase?
We didn't pay the increase.
Okay, so you didn't pay rent, and I'm asking you why.
I had a heart attack.
You had a heart attack on what date?
August 20th.
When did you sign the new lease?
We didn't sign the new lease. We filled out an application. Yeah.
Okay. After your heart attack, on what date did you go back to work?
It was...
Careful, because it's very easy to verify.
3 weeks after.
So you went back to work sometime in September?
Yes.
And you didn't pay October, November, and December?
No.
Why?
Here's what the reason I did it. We filled out an application for a new lease. We agreed to pay the new rent. After this, he comes to me and says, now we need another $3,000 for a security deposit. In all this time, I have 3 weeks to come up with all this extra money on top of the regular rent. I couldn't afford it.
Okay. And then they evicted you, I assume.
They didn't evict me.
You just left.
My name isn't on the eviction.
Shh. Are you still in the apartment?
No.
So you left?
Yes.
In December, on December 15th. That's what you told me a moment ago.
Yeah.
But you didn't pay any rent. October, November, and December. Any.
Yeah.
Well, there's no excuse for that. You're living in an apartment, you're not paying rent. It's not reasonable for her to pay rent in her apartment where she's now living and your apartment. You find that reasonable?
No, I didn't think it was reasonable the way they. I wasn't given reasonable time to come up with the money.
Neither was she. You had a fight.
She
had
chose to leave.
She chose to leave because it wasn't working anymore.
Right.
So you have two choices: either you leave or she leaves. Without getting into all the bad stuff of what happened, which I don't think is absolutely necessary, this is just a question of morality and justice. So you each had your own obligations. She had to move and find a new place to live that was going to be more expensive than where you are. I assume she paid rent. You chose not to pay rent. How is that fair? How is that balanced, sir?
She didn't pay no rent.
No. She's going to show me proof that she was on the lease during that period of time. The landlord is going after her for the rent money. She's going to show that to me.
Jessica Schleicher is suing her ex-boyfriend, Sam Branch, for unpaid rent and the costs of an eviction.
Now, I'm going to ask you the question again. Does that sound fair and reasonable to you?
No, it didn't sound fair and reasonable that I wasn't given a suitable amount of time to come up with $5,000.
That's between you and the landlord. What does that have to do with her?
They don't have nothing to do with her.
But she,
I'm not
okay,
on the lease.
Can I see the notice that you got from the landlord?
Yes, there's the eviction against me with all the documents you need.
This is not a signed judgment.
That's not the judgment?
It's not signed.
I think that's the copy the lawyer gave me. So yeah, I might not have the signed copy with me.
Well, you're supposed to bring a signed copy with you. Okay. There's no question the rent was due. There's no question that the eviction proceedings were for money, so that whatever monies are transferred will be transferred to the owner of the condo, because that's to whom it is owed, correct?
The property management company, yes, ma'am.
Okay. The second part of your lawsuit is that damages resulting from eviction and abuse. What is that about?
It was the difference of the rent from the condo to the new place because I was forced out.
Okay.
With police and everything else. I was out a lot of money.
That's not his problem. Somebody was going to be forced out of this apartment, either you or him.
But I'm the one that had to call the cops, and I have police reports, and he's the one that was abusive. I had no other choice but to leave my family's home.
Well, it was your family home. You lived like a family for 16 years. You weren't hospitalized as a result of this incident, correct?
No, ma'am.
You didn't see a doctor as a result of this incident, correct?
No.
You don't have any photographs to show me as a result of any injuries, correct?
No physical injuries, ma'am.
What you are complaining of is that he would talk to you incessantly, wouldn't let you sleep, right? I read it.
There was a lot more than that, ma'am.
There was no physicalness between the two of you that I read here.
There was yelling, spitting, throwing things, and picking up the bed that I was sitting on and slamming it down, and just anything but putting physical hands on me to avoid the police.
Well, he's not paying for your new apartment, and you're not going to pay for his new apartment. Anyway, the resolution of this case is easy: $6,063, and the check will be made payable to property management. Okay, thank you very much. We're done.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I don't call it living for free, you know. If you're gonna treat me like I'm a tenant, then you gotta treat me like a tenant. You gotta give me a 30-day notice.
I do feel Sam owed me some money for everything that I had to spend leaving the place.
You gotta give me all the stuff that comes along with being a tenant, instead of just skipping away.
I wouldn't have had to leave if it wasn't for his abuse, so.
Better to part ways.
Time to take care of me.
You were right when you said you lived together for 16 years. She kept referencing it as her family home, which I understand the history, and she lived there since she was a child. But when you live there with your partner for 16 years, that becomes your shared family home. Like you said, someone was going to have to leave, and someone was going to have to pay more rent. So, you know, at the end of the day, someone was going to have to leave.
Right. And the landlord, the person who is supposed to get the money, will get the money because they're the people who are out the rent.
Yeah.
And he had an obligation to pay rent. He just knew he wasn't responsible for it.
Yeah.
Legally and they couldn't go after him for it, so he just didn't pay it. No, can't do that. It's not right. So the car was stolen.
Yes, we were separated at the time. He knew I was coming back to drive across country because we were arguing a lot.
Did you have any indication that she was leaving you?
Yes.
So while she was away for that 1 week,
Yes.
her car was stolen.
Yes.
This is Judy Justice. Erin Dean is suing her ex-husband, Dennis Dean, for an unpaid car loan and negligence.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3122, Dean versus Dean.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Dean, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for a car that was stolen as a result of his negligence.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's start with, you and Mr. Dean were married for the first time in what month and year?
July of 2013.
You and Mr. Dean were then divorced.
That is correct, Your Honor.
In what year?
December 12th, 2019.
You and Mr. Dean were remarried.
This is correct.
What month and year?
October 1st, 2022.
And you separated again, and that marriage was annulled in what year?
August in 2023.
Now, you purchased a car.
Correct.
In what month and year?
October of 2019.
While you were married.
We were separated at the time. We were not living together.
But you were married.
Correct.
So this automobile was purchased during the course of your first marriage.
That is correct.
Do you have a copy of your divorce decree?
Yes, I do.
And does that divorce decree award you the automobile?
Yes, Your Honor, it does.
I'd like to take a look at it. So you were awarded in the divorce the Jeep Cherokee.
Correct, that is correct.
And then you remarried October of 2022.
That's correct, Your Honor.
The Jeep Cherokee, which is the subject of this case, was stolen on what date?
From what Dennis told me, he realized the car was stolen on December 19th, 2022.
While you were still married?
Correct.
Now, you were remarried in October of 2022.
Yes.
And where did you live?
In Pasadena.
What address?
780.
And you both lived there together?
Yes.
Had you lived there before, during your first marriage?
No.
Had you lived there while you were separated?
Yes.
When you remarried and you were living at 780, was the plaintiff living with you?
Yes.
So she moved into your residence?
Yes.
So far, is that correct, Ms. Dean?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you had no other residence?
No.
So you moved into 780?
That's correct.
Mr. Dean, until what date did Miss Dean live at 780, month and year?
January of 2023.
That is false, Your Honor.
Justice,
okay.
I'm not asking you anything.
Okay.
January of 2023. What happened in January of 2023, sir?
She moved back east.
East to where?
North Carolina, while we were still married.
Okay. The car was stolen in December.
Yes, December 14th.
December 14th, so several weeks before she left.
Yes.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding the car being stolen. First, she was going back east.
Yes.
And she asked you to take her to the airport?
Yes.
Just a second. Did you drive her to the airport?
Yes, I did.
On what date?
It was a week prior to the car being stolen, which was December 7th, 6th or 7th. She asked me to take her to the airport.
Mr. Dean, when you took her to the airport, what car did you take her with?
In the Jeep Cherokee.
Did you have another car?
Yes, I did.
Why did you take the Cherokee?
Because it was big enough to put all her luggage in.
So she asked you to...
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you left for the airport, where had Mrs. Dean spent the night before?
At our residence.
At your residence,
yes.
Together?
Yes.
And what was the reason that she was going back east?
To visit her friend in Houston.
Before she went to visit her friend, and you were living together as a married couple.
Yes.
Had she given you, or did you have any indication that she was leaving you?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We had prior disagreements as far as where we wanted to live. She wanted me to move back east. She wanted to have another child, which I didn't feel comfortable with.
Did you have a child together?
No.
Who has children?
We both do.
From prior relationships?
Yes.
Okay. So you had been arguing?
Yes, it was. Oh, okay.
You had been arguing. The night before she left, you were still sharing the same residence?
Yes.
So you took her to the airport in her Jeep?
Yes.
At her request, because it fit all the luggage. And then after you took her to the airport, what did you do with the Jeep?
I parked the Jeep in a gated parking in my residence.
How long was she away?
About a week.
When she was coming home, who picked her up at the airport?
I was supposed to.
And did you pick her up at the airport?
No, I did not, because she says that she wasn't coming back because I had told her about her car being stolen. And then I told her that once I found out that it was stolen, I got a police report done.
So while she was away for that 1 week,
yes,
her car was stolen?
Yes.
And it was stolen from where?
Under the gated parking of my residence.
It was in the gated parking?
Yes.
Okay, do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
Here it is, police report.
Okay, so the car was stolen.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Now I got the dates and I got everything. And the car was stolen and?
The car was stolen due to his negligence.
No, you say negligence. The car was stolen out of a gated area. First of all, even if it was stolen as a result of his negligence, you don't get your money.
Dean claims her ex-husband, Dennis Dean, is responsible for car payments after the vehicle was stolen due to his negligence.
Let me ask you this question. I'm going to maybe phrase it differently. My husband is trying to be helpful, and there's a leak in the faucet in our kitchen that has just been redone. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I have to call somebody to fix this little leak. It's dripping, and I don't want it to get any worse. And my husband said, you don't have to call anybody. I have my toolkit right here. I'm going to fix it. He's a lawyer. He doesn't know about plumbing. But he goes under the sink and he jiggles and jaggles and turns things, and there's a flood. And it not only floods out the kitchen, but it floods the apartment below. And I say, get out. I don't want to know you anymore. You're always doing things like this. You think my husband's responsible if the house is in my name? Get out of here.
Can I explain my situation or what happened, Your Honor, please?
You can. So now you have about 2 minutes to tell me your theory of the case.
When he did take me to the place, I did tell
Not
him,
the place, to the airport.
To the airport. I did tell him not to move my vehicle, not to drive my vehicle. He moved my vehicle because he has an unregistered vehicle that is in the previous divorce decree. And he uses that vehicle, he switches out his infinity plates to drive that vehicle to and from work. I told him not to move my vehicle because I know he likes to move that car, so he told the police officers who